If you're still mad at Trump, watch this. How could we accept a president who has caused so much violence and rioting? This question is about the violence surrounding Trump's candidacy and the physical violence and online backlash that comes from the assumption that we have a racist running for president. And I think most of America would agree that the assumption that Trump is racist comes from what Trump said concerning the wall.
They're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us.
So to answer the question, we must first understand that the wall statement was the point at which all the ongoing hate and violence originated. The question is, did this statement cause the violence, or did an exaggerated understanding of the statement cause the violence? Because I believe we have a very widespread misconception. I know that personally, as a Mexican, that this is something I struggled with understanding about Trump. So I think it's safe to assume that most Mexicans believe Trump's policies stem from a place of hatred in his heart. So I want to correct that viewpoint for anyone watching, and please share this video. Like, I don't hate you or anything like that. I'm not sure if you're feeling attacked by me. That is not the case. I respect people, whatever you believe. The violence began because Trump's words were taken out of context. But by who? By the media. I'm a Mexican, and I know that the media sensationalized his comments about the wall into a thing of racism.
They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists. And some, I assume, are good people.
If anyone is at fault for the violence that's come out of the wall statements, it's the media. They took his words out of context to spin a story out of it. They exaggerated it to the point that half of America genuinely believes, without solid proof, that Trump is a racist and a bigot. That bigotry towards an entire race is exactly what Trump feels in his heart even as I speak. But what Trump actually said is that because of our border situation, criminals, rapists, drug dealers, and murderers are getting into the country. And it's the truth. Granted, it's not all criminals, as Trump clarified in the full context, but we are indeed getting a lot of criminals that we don't need more of. In addition, of course, to all the good people that come through, again, as Trump clarified. It's not only Mexicans, though. It's also people from other continents using the Mexican border to easily smuggle in anything they want, because our border is that terrible. Now, looking forward, now that he's actually begun his presidency, what about the deportation of immigrants out of America, and what about the future of immigrants into America? Let's start with the latter. Wall aside, there are legal ways to get into the US. There are ways to get work visas. That's what many of my own cousins from Mexico have begun doing, so that they can come over to work in the US. It doesn't always have to be, let's go across the border, because for people to do it illegally, it's so dangerous and unnecessary. If you are suggesting we leave the border open the way it is right now, then you are suggesting people keep dangerously risking their lives attempting to cross the remote deserts at night illegally into the US, because they're going to do it inevitably so long as the borders are open. So now what about the deportations of illegal immigrants out of America? If we would have listened to Trump in the full context, it would make sense to us. He only wants to deport the illegal immigrants who are also criminals. Keyword criminals.
What we are going to do is get the people that are criminal and have criminal records, gang members, drug dealers. We have a lot of these people. Probably 2 million, it could even be 3 million. We're getting them out of our country, or we're going to incarcerate.
So we're talking the murderers here, the drug dealers, the rapists, etc. If you're an illegal immigrant who made it into the US illegally, but you haven't been charged of any crime, then guess what? You're not going to get deported. You're going to be alright. America, stop believing the millions of Facebook memes about the mass deportation of all your Mexican friends, because that is terrible misinformation and an exaggeration of a lie. And now go and actually read through Trump's plan, where he specifically says that there will only be deportation for those with criminal activity. And shut off the mainstream news, because it's their fault for all the misinformed rioters who believe that Trump is a hate monger. If people were injured in those riots, and I'm sure they were, then I hope the mainstream media pundits are never able to go to sleep again, because this unnecessary violence that happened in major American cities is on their conscience, because it is they, the media, who purposefully distorted Trump's statements on Mexicans. So in conclusion, all Trump said was that many rapists, drug dealers, criminals, and so forth get through the borders very easily. So we should shut borders for safety and for order. That way, the hardworking Mexicans can come in safely and legally. with work visas. But the media wanted a good story, so they cried racist. They sensationally attacked Trump's character. So how could we accept a president who caused so much violence and rioting? That's the wrong question. It's the media who has no conscience. They're responsible for any unnecessary violence that's happened because of the illusion they've created. And one last thing, if the media wasn't bad enough on their own, it's actually been uncovered by independent reporters that the violence that we heard about at Trump rallies were actually incited by people who were secretly working for Hillary. Hillary's people made Trump rallies appear violent to the rest of the country, when in reality the violence was illegally staged over and over and over by Hillary and the DNC. How crazy is that? So the next time you feel like jumping on the popular bandwagon of hating on Trump, question first the misinformation coming from social media and from mainstream news.